On December 1, 2014, 47-year-old Ibolya Ryan, a mother of three, had been looking forward to spending the upcoming holiday season with her children. Sadly, someone ended her plans, and she never got to enjoy her favorite time of year with her loved ones. 3 days after her murder, on December 4, 2014, the Abu Dhabi Police Department put an end to their tireless efforts of investigating the merciless homicide when they made an arrest in the city. What came to light after the arrest forced the authorities to be on high alert once again, as an unforeseeable motive was uncovered, and it became more and more evident that this case wasn't as simple as it seemed. Who was this woman that Abu Dhabi police had taken into custody? What could she have done that put the investigators in a race against time? The woman who was arrested was 38-year-old Alaa Badr Abdullah al-Hashemi. She was a Yemeni-born woman living in the United Arab Emirates with her husband Mohammed al-Habashi al-Hashemi and their 6 children. Alaa's eldest child was 10 years old, while her youngest was merely 10 months old when she decided to commit an awful deed. All her kids, young and innocent, were unaware of the wicked schemes that went on inside their mother's head. On Monday, December 1, 2014, Alaa set out to bring her plans into action. She put her black gloves on and covered her face with a veiled niqab, a usually black garment worn by Muslim women to cover their face as part of an interpretation of hijab. Leaving her house just a little before 1 p.m. that same day, Alaa headed to the famous boutique mall, which was located on Al Reem Island in Abu Dhabi. Despite knowing that the mall was equipped with fully functioning CCTV cameras and that she was being watched by the security, Alaa was completely unbothered. She wouldn't turn back or leave the mall without doing what she had to do. Alaa entered the mall around 1:13 p.m. and took the elevator. Upon exiting the elevator, Alaa spoke briefly to a security guard and then headed towards the mall's washroom, where she encountered a 47-year-old woman named Ibolya Ryan. Alaa waited for a while, and when Ibolya was alone, Alaa struck with full force and stabbed her to death. Moments later, after exiting the washroom, Alaa rushed to the lobby once again and hurriedly got into the elevator. It didn't take long for the crowd in the mall to notice what had happened inside the washroom, and as they emerged in the lobby in a state of panic, still processing the gruesome murder that had just taken place, Alaa escaped the building. And even though the security at Boutique Mall was usually tight, Alaa managed to slip through the hands of the guards. Luckily, all her movements had been captured by the security footage. The mall security informed the Abu Dhabi Police Department of the tragic incident, and as the detectives arrived at the scene, an investigation was launched into the murder. Ibolya Ryan was a Hungarian-American kindergarten teacher who was originally born and brought up in Romania. In 2006, she and her husband Paul Ryan relocated to Sopron, Hungary, along with their daughter Timea and twin sons Adam and Aiden, before subsequently undergoing a divorce. After she had separated from her husband, Ibolya went wherever her work took her. Over the course of the next few years, Ibolya had a diverse teaching career which spanned 4 countries, including the United States, and with Abu Dhabi being her last stop. She had been residing in Abu Dhabi for almost a year, and apart from being a teacher there, she also fulfilled the duties of being a devoted mother to her 11-year-old twin sons who lived with her in their Abu Dhabi home. At the time, Ibolya's 13-year-old daughter Timea was living with her father Paul, Ibolya's ex-husband, in Vienna, Austria. Ibolya had devoted herself to the realm of education in the United Arab Emirates, and even though she was in a strange land away from home, she settled in quite well. Beyond the conventional scope of her teaching responsibilities, she also undertook the role of mentoring fellow teachers, contributing significantly to the professional growth of her peers. It was also evident through her actions that her main focus was to lead her students toward a better future, and she was widely recognized for her resolute dedication to her profession. Ibolya embodied a sense of purity in this world, serving as a beacon of kindness and compassion. She lived with a profound sense of purpose, consistently striving to create a positive impact and contribute to the betterment of the lives she touched. On December 1, 2014, as the holiday season was approaching, Ibolya had planned to go shopping at the boutique mall and then head home to her twins. But little did she know that fate had different plans for her. During the initial stages of the investigation, authorities faced considerable difficulty in ascertaining the identity of the suspect, who remained completely concealed from head to toe. This also led them to consider the possibility that the perpetrator might be a male masquerading in disguise. A couple of days after the tragic murder of Ibolya, specifically on December 3, 2014, Abu Dhabi police issued a public statement indicating that efforts were still underway to determine the identity and gender of the suspect. And although there were many people who saw the killer, none of them could provide any distinctive details, such as facial features or build about the suspect, because of the fully enveloping attire, consisting of an abaya, black gloves, and a face cover. The Abu Dhabi Security Media Department further shared more information by uploading a video on its official YouTube channel. This footage, featuring CCTV recordings, portrayed the killer labeled as the Reem Island Ghost. The video showcased the reactions of the people present at the scene during the heinous act. Notably, a mother accompanied by a young child was observed hastily ushering the child away, while security personnel approached the corridor in response to the unfolding events. The footage showed heightened awareness around onlookers, with particular attention drawn to activities in the restroom area. The surveillance footage, serving as a critical piece of evidence, also captured the cloaked suspect subsequently picking up a newspaper, probably to conceal the weapon, and then proceeding in the direction of the restroom. Approximately 90 minutes later, the individual suspected of the assault hastily re-emerged into the lobby, prompting disarray among shoppers who swiftly dispersed. In the midst of the chaotic scene, the alleged attacker dismissed the efforts of a woman attempting to interfere with her. As a security guard made his way towards the restrooms, the suspect rushed into the elevator and ultimately fled the scene after the crime occurred. The tape concluded by revealing a distressing visual. A trail of bloody footprints originating from one of the restroom stalls gave a glimpse of the violent and gruesome nature of the crime. Law enforcement officials reported that the unfortunate victim, Ibolya, met a tragic end through fatal stabbing. Detectives also discovered a kitchen knife at the crime scene and confirmed that it was the murder weapon. Questioning the witnesses, the detectives learned that prior to the murder, the two women had also gotten into a heated argument. But it wasn't clear to any of the detectives whether the attack on Ibolya was planned or was it just the result of an overly heated argument. The surveillance footage, as well as the official police reports, provided a detailed account of the suspect. Following the commission of the initial crime, the niqabi suspect was seen returning to her vehicle and eventually exiting the scene. Shockingly, detectives learned that the suspect had then proceeded to a residential building situated in the Abu Dhabi Corniche, where once again, an unsettling sequence of events unfolded. The security cameras at this location captured the suspect's movement and showed her walking into the building holding a small black suitcase. She proceeded toward the apartment of a 46-year-old Egyptian-American doctor who was only identified as M.H. The doctor lived there with his wife and 3 kids. She left the suitcase near their residence and exited the building. Compellingly, the police video revealed more details about the suspect. In the video, detectives were able to see the presence of blood on the suspect's steering wheel and the black suitcase, identical to the one she allegedly carried to the doctor's apartment. This chilling visual evidence added another layer of complexity to the unfolding narrative, highlighting the gravity of the suspect's actions as she went from one crime scene to the next. Fortunately, the doctor's son spotted the suitcase in the evening while going to the mosque to pray. He saw something strange in front of the house and told his family. They called a security guard for help, and he contacted the police. The police were able to confirm that it was a bomb and defuse it just in time before it could explode. The security guard mentioned that a woman with gloves had come to the house just minutes before the incident. She was dragging a black suitcase. He added that she went to the floor where the doctor's family lived and a few minutes later quickly left the building. According to detectives, the homemade bomb was made using basic materials which were easily available in the market. The bomb was made up of a small gas cylinder, a lighter, glue, and nails meant to cause severe injuries when the bomb went off. While the detectives kept the investigation going to identify the killer, they kept their progress and measures under wraps, not sharing many details about the case. On the morning of Thursday, December 4, 2014, Abu Dhabi police caught the person responsible for the crime. The killer was identified as 38-year-old Alaa Badr Abdullah al-Hashemi. General Sheikh Sef bin Zayed al Nahyan who is Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Interior in the U.A.E., shared that the security and police forces had arrested the suspected woman known as Nikibi for brutally killing the American teacher Ibolya Ryan. He highlighted that they identified the suspect in less than 24 hours and arrested her in less than 48 hours. However, the detectives refused to disclose how they successfully identified Alaa. Going through Alaa's internet search history, it was evident that Alaa had become extreme in her beliefs because of the things she saw on the internet and the people she followed. She didn't have a specific plan to hurt a particular American person, but she wanted to hurt someone from another country at random. Alaa was quite blunt when she stated the reason behind the attacks and didn't try to hide any details. Alaa admitted that she chose Ibolya and the doctor simply because they were American. Furthermore, Alaa told the detectives in charge of the case that she committed those horrible acts because her husband, Mohammed al-Hashemi, was taken by the police for questioning on the suspicion that he might be connected to terrorist groups. She wanted to get back at the police force for taking her husband and make foreigners, especially Americans, British, and French people living in the country, scared for their safety. These terrible incidents happened after there were other attacks on people from Western countries and Saudi Arabia. Many people around the world heard about these attacks, and it made the international security and business communities worried. Additionally, just a few weeks from Ibolya's stabbing, there had been warnings from U.S. embassies in the area because some websites were encouraging attacks specifically on American teachers. Abu Dhabi was mostly considered a safe place for people from other countries to work, and the security there was very strict when it came to terrorism. However, in light of these events, people from other countries living in Abu Dhabi began to grow fearful regarding the increasing crime rate against international citizens. The government in the Emirates said that Ibolya's killing was a terrorist attack done by one person who had been influenced by online terrorist beliefs. The police clarified that Alaa didn't know either of her victims. She carried out those attacks only because of the nationality of the victims and not because of any personal problems. This made the people who live in Abu Dhabi, both citizens and those from other countries, feel uneasy because terrorist attacks almost never happen in the United Arab Emirates. Detectives uncovered another threatening detail about Ibolya's murder when they came across a statement made in September 2014 by Abu Muhammad al-Adani, who spoke for the group calling itself the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant. In the statement, Abu Muhammad al-Adani urged the Muslim community to harm Westerners and people from any other country involved in the attacks on their group. His exact words were, "Hurt them in any way you can." The attacks that followed this threatening statement were seen as part of a pattern of violent acts inspired by ideas instead of a direct order from militant groups. Other examples included the 2014 ramming attack in Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu, the beheading of a French tourist named Hervé Gordel in Algeria, and other attacks on people from Denmark and the United States and Saudi Arabia. Events of terrorism were not taken lightly by the officials in Abu Dhabi. A good chunk of the city's functioning relied on the work of many people from other countries and on tourism to keep its economy going. To make sure that the violence remained isolated, security authorities sent out a strong message to any other potential terrorists in the U.A.E., warning them of the dangerous outcomes of any attacks they might be planning. A security official in the U.A.E., who wasn't named, shared with an Emirates news agency called U.A.E that just before the attack, Alaa had been surfing through terrorist websites on the internet. And it was through these websites that she learned how to make explosives and carry out a murder. The detectives were also keen on exploring the possibility that Alaa was not working alone. The police talked to ABC News and said they arrested some other people at Alaa's house, but they weren't certain whether these people were involved in the attack or not. Alaa told the investigators that her husband, Mohammed al-Hashemi, used to support militant groups. He made her watch and listen to recordings of leaders from groups like Osama bin Laden. Her house was said to be like a base of operations, but it wasn't clear if she was part of any groups. Upon further investigation, it was discovered that Alaa was also found guilty of using an online account to share information that mocked and harmed the country. As the news channels covered the report of Alaa's arrest, it was revealed that she was also convicted of sending money to al-Qaeda, a terrorist organization in Yemen, knowing that it would be used to support terrorist activities. On June 29, 2015, before announcing the verdict, Judge Fallah al-Hajeri said that the U.A.E., with Allah's blessings, had been and always will continue to be a safe and stable place. It's an example of people living together in peace and harmony. He mentioned that in recent years, some new criminal methods not seen before in the U.A.E. have been used to scare and hurt people. The goal was to disrupt the country's system and put society in danger by doing harmful things. When there was a threat to the overall stability of the nation, it was important to review and deal with these actions in the strictest way possible. That's why the new anti-terror law was achieved to fight against terrorism and get rid of it. The judge ordered the law enforcement to confiscate all the evidence in Allah's case and to shut down the online account Allah had been using to communicate with terrorist organizations. Later, on June 29, 2015, the Federal Supreme Court in Abu Dhabi sentenced 38-year-old Emirati woman Alaa Badr al-Hashemi to death for committing the murder of 47-year-old Ibolya Ryan. Since the ruling was made by the Supreme Court, it could not be appealed. Hence, Alaa's fate had been decided. During her trial, Alaa requested the court to provide her with psychological help. She said that she had been having strange visions and saw ghost-like people. The court took this into consideration and called for psychiatric tests to be done on Alaa. However, the results showed that Alaa was well aware of what she did, and her mental state didn't seem to affect her actions when she carried them out. When the court declared the verdict and sentence, Alaa, surrounded by 4 police officers, didn't show any emotion. After leaving the court, she smiled and waved at her father and brother. On July 13, 2015, a Monday morning, Ahmed al-Dahani, Attorney General for the State Security Prosecution, announced that the ruling of the State Security Circuit of the Federal Supreme Court No. 73 of 2015 on the execution of Alaa Badr Abdullah had been carried out, following the approval of President Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan. However, the officials didn't disclose how Alaa was executed. Members of the expatriate community in Dubai held a candlelight vigil in memory of Ibolya Ryan and shared how her tragic death had impacted them.
I don't feel on edge. We've lived here for 7.5 years, and I've never felt anything but safe anywhere I've been, day or night, and I really do still feel the same way. When it happened, before they knew anything about the cause or why, I still didn't feel like someone was out to get me or necessarily Americans. Anything can happen anywhere in any city in the world, and I've always felt very comfortable in Dubai and Abu Dhabi.
I really enjoy the open-minded society here. I really enjoy what opportunities people have here, regardless from where they come. And that is one of the aspects that I don't know what motivation is behind this mishappening, this disgusting deed, but it feels like somebody wants to destroy this, and I'm very, very happy that this is not that easy in this country.
The process of closure for Ibolya's family, friends, and the teaching community was difficult. Paul Ryan, Ibolya's former husband with whom she had 3 children, shared his views on the verdict as well.
Well, obviously, I'm totally horrified by what happened. One just needs to look at the video, the images of that bathroom, and it knocks you out. Knocks you out. I still hope my children have not seen that. Those beautiful children I have, making sure that they get the comfort and the sense of their mother and their future, that I protect them from as best I can.
There's a suspect in custody. What's your initial feeling? Was this a person operating as a lone wolf or part of a much grander agenda that we don't see yet?
She is thought of as a lone wolf. As an American, I could easily view that with some skepticism. And actually, along the way, initially my thought, well, why couldn't it be part of a terrorist cell? We've had terrorist cells in a number of places, even in the West. Why couldn't it exist here? There might be a cell involved, certainly, but after seeing the video of how she was captured and what was in her car, she had everything there, all for herself, ready to go. She didn't even care about the blood prints on her steering wheel. She could easily have done this all by herself.
A recruitment firm that helped bring Paul Ryan to Abu Dhabi started a fundraising campaign so he could take her body back home and support their children's education. After a few weeks, the Ryan family took over the fund and utilized it to help Ryan's family in Romania. General Sheikh Sef talked about Ibolya's murder as something that went against the important values the U.A.E. believed in. These values came from the teachings of Islam and the true Arab heritage. He mentioned that the U.A.E. strongly supported these good values, whether it was within the country or in other places. He also shared how sad he felt to see such crimes happening in a country known for its safety and security. Later in 2015, Alaa's husband, Mohammed al-Habashi al-Hashemi, faced serious charges for supposedly planning to bomb tourist places and harm a local leader in December of that same year. The name of the leader Mohammed had planned to assassinate wasn't revealed. During a court hearing at the Federal Supreme Court, Mohammed persisted that he was innocent and said he didn't do any of the things he was accused of. Mohammed was being represented by two lawyers. One was chosen by the government and the other was chosen by his family. Both lawyers dodged reporters when asked to make a comment on Mohammed's situation. Mohammed was accused of 7 things, including planning to bomb the Yas Marina Formula One racetrack and a nearby IKEA in the capital. He also supposedly planned to attack tourists and an American military base. Police also found evidence linking Mohammed to terrorist organizations Al-Qaeda and ISIS. His case was adjourned until January 18, 2016. But since it didn't receive enough media coverage, the public couldn't find out how the court proceedings went and what the verdict was. Do you think if it hadn't been for the detectives' quick actions leading to Alaa's timely arrest, Alaa would have committed even more terrorist acts? During her trial, Alaa didn't have any form of guilt or remorse for her actions. Do you think this was because she had been brainwashed by terrorist groups? Let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. If there's a case you'd like us to cover, don't hesitate to drop your recommendations in the comments section below. For more captivating true crime stories, like, share, and subscribe to our channel.